José Arguelles es uno de los investigadores más importantes del calendario maya, y aquí veis la matriz del calendario maya, que también parece como un cono de luz, porque es responsable de cómo entra la luz dentro del ADN. José Arguelles ha hecho aquí una unión del calendario maya con los hexagramas del I Ching, que ya sabemos que el I Ching es una matriz de binaria parecida al ADN, y de hecho pues a través de las 64 posibilidades del I Ching también sabemos que podríamos tener 64 aminoácidos en vez de los 20 existentes hoy día. Aquí veis la investigación de la Tierra Asciende, del libro de José Arguelles del año 85, en el cual pues descifra a través del I Ching las distintas épocas del ser humano, de la historia y de la posthistoria a la cual estamos entrando según el código genético de la Tierra. Y aquí veis cómo yo estoy relacionando los hexagramas del I Ching a las moléculas, la adenina, la guanina, la utianina y la citosina del ADN. Y con el I Ching podría darnos unas mutaciones que serían interesantes contrastarlas, y en eso estoy investigando ahora. De hecho, he investigado el tema del ADN con los delfines, porque se sabe que el ultrasonido, de los delfines sobre todo, pero todo el ultrasonido es necesario para que el ARN replique lo que tiene que hacer de repetir el ADN, y de hecho si perdemos pares, la falta de este sonido hace que las trenzas de ADN se trencen más y se aprieten más y pierdan pares. También el sonido muy alto de los cantos de gregorianos también nos ayuda a rejuvenecer el ADN, mientras que el rock ya se sabe que aprieta más el ADN y perdemos pares. Por lo tanto, el ultrasonido nos ayuda a rejuvenecer. Está claro que por las venas corre luz, corre cristal líquido. Ya se conoce que cada célula tiene una chispa de luz intensísima, y por lo tanto nosotros somos cuerpos luminosos, estamos hechos de luz, y de hecho pues eso parece ser que es algo que estamos volviendo al activar la pineal, cosas que ya hablaremos en los próximos programas. Y cómo está íntimamente relacionado los meridianos de acupuntura, que son por donde pasa la electricidad del cuerpo, con la pineal, con el ADN y con los chakras, para llegar a hacer esta transformación hacia seres más lumínicos, más transparentes. Esto quiere decir que podríamos llegar a percibir el ultrasonido y el ultravioleta, llevando nuestros sentidos a una vibración mayor, y eso querría decir que podríamos ver el aura de las personas, llegando a una comunicación más transparente entre unos y otros.
There's a power that lives within every human that walks this earth. It's a language of human emotion, and the power of human emotion that we typically discount in our culture, not so in other cultures, but in our culture, the power of that emotion to literally change the conditions that we're talking about, the conditions of the healing within our bodies. And what the experiments are showing is that this power of emotion has the ability to influence not only our bodies biologically, but beyond our bodies into the physical world on the quantum level. It is a powerful language that other cultures apparently know very well. And in the West, when science came in, science discounted the effects of things that cannot be seen and measured directly 400 years ago. And now they're coming back full circle with the language of quantum science, reincorporating these forces, but the feeling and the emotion and the power of human emotion is among those forces that cannot be seen. The laboratory experiments are documenting the fact, and it is a fact now, that human emotion changes the DNA inside of our bodies and the way we function in this world, and that those effects extend beyond our bodies into the physical matter of the people in the world around us when we learn that language. And it leads us to the understanding that science is simply a language that describes our relationship to ourselves, to one another, to our world, to the universe beyond it. It's a language that describes, in very technical terms, how things work, the mechanics, the nuts and bolts, and how we function within that mechanism that we call life in the universe. The best scientists will freely admit that our science is incomplete. There are a lot of things science simply cannot explain right now. But what if we take the best of the science that we do know and marry that with the languages that have always been here, the languages of spirituality, and those those indigenous understandings that tell us we're part of this world and we're part of one another, we're part of a greater creation. We're not separate from these things. What if we marry those two ways of knowing into a greater wisdom? Where will that lead us? The line between science and spirituality is getting very fuzzy, and especially in the language of quantum physics. And if we can flesh out those missing pieces, and it helps us to become better people and create a better world, why wouldn't we want to do that? We already know what it's like to have a world where we all feel separate and we feel like there's not enough to go around. It's a world based in competition. We know where that world has led so far. Let's try something different. What would happen if we embrace one another in a spirit of cooperation like all of the rest of the natural world does, humankind? This is the only species that believes that violent competition is the optimum way to get ahead. In traditions, there was a sect called the Esenios, E-S-S-E-N-E-S. They wrote entire texts about how we get through those times in our lives, and they said what we do is we bless the things that hurt us. When we bless the things that hurt us, we're actually acknowledging, bringing that forward, just saying, yes, it happened, and then that allows them to work through that energy and to transcend the energy. When you bless something long enough, it's just something that everyone has to experience on their own. It actually changes chemically what happens in our bodies. And when we understand that the world around us, and this is the language of quantum physics, when the world around us, we understand it's nothing more and nothing less than a mirror of what we have become from within. Our anger, our hate, our rage, our jealousy as individuals is mirrored around us and collectively. Our love, our compassion, our forgiveness, our understanding. So I think this is the generation that gets to learn that new way of being and embrace. And I think about the experiments and the evidence is out there showing that the emotions that we hold in here become the physical reality in the world around. They literally turn the atoms off and on of the stuff that our world and our bodies are made of. And that is a huge statement to make, and it's a very, very empowering way to look at the world. When we choose peace and healing and love and compassion and forgiveness and understanding and tolerance in our hearts, we know that that changes the chemistry in our bodies and we're healthier. That's a fact. We also know that those changes extend to the world around us, into our communities and families in ways that can be measured, and that's a fact. And with those two facts, I think that we can move on in this 21st century and not let the frightening conditions of the world disempower us. We can look at that world square in the eye and say, yes, these things have happened, but there's a power within us, and maybe we'll outgrow the need for war.